right, y'all, with Memorial Day right around the corner, what better way to celebrate than to highlight a new documentary that calls attention to the stories of 12 Black veterans? Please take a look at the trailer for the film Black Uniform.
Well, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a pilot. The Army had this notion that men of color didn't have the skill to be pilots, so they did not have men of color flying airplanes.
There was always something about serving my country, and then at the end of that service, you know, there will be a return on that.
I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. There were no options in my community.
Rich people don't fight wars.
One of my thinking was when I went into the Navy that, hey, it's gonna make me a man and I won't be gay.
I lost my leg and half my stomach. When you lose something, you feel like a half a man.
Just simply because they were Black, did they get bad treatment? Yes.
Even though you made it home, there's still a war going on.
When we were wearing the uniform, we knew what our role in society was.
I'm serving my country right now by serving the women and the men that my country left behind.
Soulmates, please join me in welcoming attorney turned filmmaker Bob Darwell and Iraq war veteran Robert Dabney Jr. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so Bob Wardell and Robert Downey Jr., thank you for joining us. So tell me, how does it feel to be talking about this historic film?
Well, I got to see it recently with Robert for his first time seeing the picture just a few weeks ago in Iowa. How did you feel about it, Robert?
It was, I share with you, a dream come true in a sense, being able to tell my story in front of a national audience, being able to share a little bit about my experience and the experience of my brothers and sisters that served was something that I never imagined that could happen. And to be able to hear the reactions of the audience to our stories and to what we do after we leave service was really enlightening. It was heartwarming.
Speaking of enlightening, Bob, you were actually a lawyer before becoming a filmmaker. What made you want to start making documentaries?
Well, I think I'm still actually an entertainment attorney, been practicing for my entire career in Los Angeles. I'm at Shepard Mullen, and I've worked on hundreds of movies, helping other people get their vision and their dream come true. But been a long time a fan of oral history, and it wasn't until just a couple years ago that I decided it's time to do something about that. And I set out to produce and direct my first documentary. That one was called The 90s Club, where I went around the country and interviewed 12 men and women between the ages of 90 and 99, and valued that experience so much I knew I was going to repeat it, and that's then Black Uniform followed.
Now, Bob, as a white filmmaker, how did you navigate portraying the Black veteran experience authentically and respectfully?
Well, I think I don't try to tell anyone's story. When people will see the film, it's each of the individuals telling and sharing their own story. I don't appear on camera. I'm not a narrator. And in fact, one of the people who appears in the film is Romay Davis. She's now 104 years old. She served in the 688 Battalion. Tyler Perry's doing a Netflix movie about her now. And so I think there's room for these stories to be told and to be shared. And that's all I wanted to do, is share that platform. One of the executive producers on the film, Rose Burbank, comes from a Black military family. Her father served and her sons served. And a majority of the camera operators, when I traveled and worked around the country, were people of color and or veterans, and that was important to us.
I love that. All right, now Robert, because both names are Robert. Bob, Robert. Okay. In this documentary, you said there were no opportunities in your community. Why did you feel joining the military was your only option?
I grew up in South Memphis, and I lived there for the last 10 years of my childhood. And every adult male that I knew or saw theoretically just stayed in the community, working small jobs, never really getting the opportunity to do things bigger or better than what was available. And I saw the military as a way for me to get out really quick, to get my feet under me, and just to be in a safe space until I can decide what I want to do with life. I'm still working on that, but I'm really glad I made the decision and took that route.
Nice. Nice, Robert. I got a question for you. In the documentary, famous Representative Charles Rangel says, rich people don't fight in wars. What's your take on this? And do you feel the military targets underprivileged Black kids?
I agree 1,000% with him. And I'll say I wouldn't say they target underprivileged Black kids, but they do target underprivileged communities. A lot of the recruiting centers are in the impoverished neighborhoods. The military, it's an industrial complex, and they understand that people who have a need and have an edge can become really good war fighters. And so they'll go there. They offer us opportunity to be all we can be, and if we make it out alive, we can actually actualize that.
Right.
For many of us, that's what we're still trying to do.
Right. Okay, Bob, I just heard Roberts talk about this, but how do you hope your documentary will impact viewers' perception of race, identity, and even patriotism?
I think, the tagline behind me on the documentary is remembering and honoring, but I hope that people will do a lot more than that, right? Which is remember, honor, appreciate, learn, and not only thank veterans for their service, but spend some time listening to them, and then finally asking how we can help, particularly when people come out of the service. So that's my hope for the film.
I gotta ask something a little off script. I feel like, in America, we all know that veterans do not get treated the way they should, and that's a shame. I mean, to risk your lives and your family's state of mind and everything that you sacrifice. What are some of the challenges you faced during production, how you overcame them, and how do you feel like about the way veterans are treated?
Yeah, I mean, I met everyone who I interviewed for the first time on the day of the interview. And it's remarkable to me how open, everyone was about sharing their story. And I think it reflected that people want the opportunity to talk about their service, talk about the challenges. One of the women in the documentary was sexually assaulted while she was in the service. That's 28% of women who serve face that experience. And I think what we learned from hearing them talk is that they continue. Many people like Robert Dabney Jr. coming out of this service, they dedicate their lives to continuing to serve their community and often many other veterans. And that continues to be an important part of their life.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's extraordinary to me that so many of the men and women who've gone into the service, particularly when we're talking World War II and the Korean War, this is a time when the civil rights legislation and movement hadn't even occurred, and you've got Black men and women serving their country and fighting and dying on behalf of their country at a time when they didn't even enjoy equal rights. I think one of the most extraordinary stories that comes out, or shocking stories that comes out of the documentary, is Dr. Richardson, who's a Tuskegee Airman. And when he was training in the Air Force in South Carolina, they had German prisoners of war on the base. Those German prisoners of war, because they were white, had more freedom on the base than the Black US soldiers. The Black US soldiers couldn't go to the bowling alley and had to sit in a certain section of the movie theater. But the Nazis, who were our prisoners, had more freedom merely because they were white. And I think when somebody hears that, I think that's when it begins to, maybe change someone's mind and how they think about, minorities who are serving their country.
The hypocrisy, right, of a country that claims to not do that. And I'm so glad that you all were able to do this. I think this is much needed. Now, Robert, not only is Memorial Day this month, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. After serving in the Army, what mental health struggles are you still overcoming that you would care to share with us?
I'm someone that's open and honest with my mental health journey. Coming out of the military, I did develop PTSD, generalized anxiety, and major depression disorder. It's something that took me about 7 to 10 years to even come to grips with and to begin to treat or to seek help for. As of right now, today, I'm in a position where I can say that I'm thriving again. About 4 years ago, I was working as a hospital chaplain. I had to leave the position because my mental health suffered so much. But doing the work that I'm doing now and being able to work with other veterans and helping them heal is something that has helped to make more sense of the struggles I went through while in the military, and even the mental health challenges that I face. Now I see value in them because I'm able to help others that are currently still there, help them overcome and get to a place that they can thrive as well.
You know what, Robert, when I hear this conversation, I think about my family. My father was 2 tours in Vietnam, my brothers, Iraq and Afghanistan. Everything that you say resonates to me. Can you talk to us about your organization, Vet Park? That's what I want to hear about, because a lot of veterans need these types of resources. So how are other veterans, or how can veterans like my brothers use your resource, Vet Park?
Yeah. So what Vet Park does is we hire and provide peer support specialists, individuals with a lived experience that have recovered and now living their lives. We provide veterans with a peer support specialist over a 12-month period to walk with them through their mental health journey. Going after mental health resources or even acknowledging that you need help is very difficult and it's very challenging, especially on your own. And so we're building a team of veteran peer support specialists that will walk with an individual veteran over a 12-month period to connect them with the resources that are available to them, and also work with them to help facilitate what's known as post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth is the other end of post-traumatic stress disorder. As of now, there are not many people talking about post-traumatic growth, but it's something I'm very passionate about. And as veterans connect with us, that's what we teach, that's what we employ, and we utilize peer support specialists to do that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Can't wait to learn more.
Now, Bob, so what are you creating next? We're all excited for it.
Okay, well, right now, the 90s Club is on Amazon Prime, and soon so will Black Uniform be. And I've got one final documentary in this style of 12 different interviews. And up next will be Crowning Achievement, where I'm going to travel around the country and interview 12 former Miss Americas, going back to Miss 1949, and then one through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and so on. So.
I love it. Okay, Bob. Well, thank you so much, Bob Darwell and Robert Dabney Jr. Thank you for your service and for your attention to this topic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you, and keep up the fantastic work and spreading the word. It is much needed and much appreciated. We salute you both.
Happy Memorial Day, everyone.